Welcome back to another episode of Projecting Grandeur. I'm your host, Ron Dichter. Thanks for tuning in. You are all in for a treat today. We have a very special guest with us who I've had the privilege of getting to know for a few minutes before we jumped on here. And all I've been able to do is read through his amazing biography of all the things that he's done in his life. And what's really neat about today's show is you're going to hear what it's like to lead with purpose and authenticity and really let your values guide your sense of leadership. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today with Rob Bingham. He is a CU Denver alumnus, a National Guard officer, founder of the Colorado Veterans Project. Rob, welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it, man.
You bet. Well, let's just jump right into it. So, Rob, you've grown the Denver Veterans Day run from under 100 to tens of thousands of people. What really sparked this initial leap and what kept you pushing it forward?
Uh, so I started the organization Colorado Veterans Project when I moved to Denver. Most of it was because after my deployments, I kind of felt that lack of like community involvement, that ability to talk to, someone who's never served in the military about my military service and have that kind of connection. And when I moved to Denver, I was like, what if we create an organization that just brings the community together with veterans where we can have that shared sense of service? And that's kind of how this sparked our idea for creating these large scale events. So we worked with the city of Denver and we revamped the entire Veterans Day parade. When I first moved to Denver, there was maybe 100 people that would come out and celebrate Veterans Day downtown Denver. In the years that me and my team ran the Denver Veterans Day parade and the run, we literally, tenfolded that.
I always like to go back further, and I always like to understand what's inside of people's brains. So pardon my reaching into your brain here to try to get kind of where the origin of this came from. But, you spent time obviously at CU Denver and you had, experience in ROTC while you were there. Like, where did that seed really get planted, that ultimately became that Colorado Veterans Project? Because you were just getting started in kind of your journey there.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you talk about going back because very little known story about me. When I was in high school, I actually ran a public access TV show. And my thing was about getting my friends together and creating something that was larger than ourselves. While most people were out playing football or on the swim team or going to parties, I would spend late nights in the studio, like learning, trying to build something. So it's kind of snowballed into this effect of same thing with Colorado Veterans Project. I mean, with my team, with my crew, we were building something that was kind of larger than ourselves. So it's kind of funny to see some of those skills that I learned in high school actually playing out into my adult life, which is kind
Wait,
of
so
funny.
all the teachers out there should take this sound clip and say everything they're teaching you actually has relevance later in life. I like that.
True, it's true. Actually, it was funny. A couple years ago when I graduated with my MBA, I reached out to one of my teachers and I said, "Hey, it's really because of you. I'm a first generation college diploma recipient. Like I'm the first one in my family to ever graduate with a degree, and I have my undergrad and my grad. But I reached out to her and says, because you believed in me that this was possible."
I bet that made her day. Like that's huge. Well, I'm always impressed with the amount of things that people juggle in their lives. And as a Black Hawk pilot, and corporate giving representative at Excel Energy, like how do you balance service, leadership, and community building roles? There's a lot.
It's a lot, and it's not easy. It was very difficult. Yeah, so I was, full time job, still in the military, starting up Colorado Veterans Project, just on the cusp of it, kind of taking off. Um, it's very difficult, but really just understanding what the larger purpose is, and focusing on the goal, it was the big thing. I was very lucky in my job that I had the time and the leadership that would allow me because they understood what I was trying to do. And it was really just kind of focusing on what was important and taking one step at a time.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, so circling back to my first question about the race, and you've already said you grew that tenfold. I mean,
Mhm.
your events, as you said, they draw tens of thousands of people. You've raised huge dollars, for the causes. But what does success mean to you? Like, how do you define what success looks like in this, and what impact means the most to you when you kind of look back at these accomplishments?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, and that's something I get asked all the time, and I ask myself all the time to redefine. And success to me is impact. I think time is probably one of the most limiting factors that I have. So it's like when I spend my time on something, what is the most impact I can have possible? So I look at how many lives I can touch, how many people I can serve, what difference I could make in the community. And that's where I really focus my time and effort on.
I like that. I like that. Not everybody's so grounded either. You seem very grounded in kind of your thought processes around this. So I'm gonna take some mental notes here to learn from you. Uh, so in the spirit of projecting grandeur, and you kind of think about what that means. Like, what does showing up authentically as a leader look like to you, especially when you're publicly honoring others as well?
I think it's really important. I mean, there's kind of that thought process of less of me, more of you, where you want to put people at the center stage. And I'm gonna be honest, wasn't always me. I mean, that's something I've really kind of learned and developed over time is to really come out and be your honest, authentic self. It was something that I didn't feel comfortable showing when I first started in my journey of leadership. But I've learned from a lot of hard lessons. I've actually had a lady that I really respect came up to me probably around 12 to 15 years ago, and she said, "Rob, you're doing such great things in the community, but to be honest, you're a little aloof." She's like, "I don't see how you're connected to all of these causes that you're supporting." And I took that to heart, and I was like, "Am I really not looking like I'm connected? Like I feel this way, but am I not presenting it right?" And I did a lot of soul searching, and I mean, I really took that to heart, really revamped the way I looked at things and the way I showed up to things. So I think it's really important as leaders to kind of show up, show that you're connected, show that you're there for the right reasons, and really, as you mentioned, lead authentically.
I love that concept of showing up, and really, like, people think showing up, they think physically, but what you're referring to is mentally being there, mentally showing up, and that's so huge.
Yeah, yeah, it really is, and it helps other people feel, safe and involved, and it helps them show up as their best self if you're showing up as yours.
Yeah, I love that. Well, going back to your busyness and kind of being this benevolent guy that seems to be doing great things, like you once took flights for flood response in the middle of classes. Like, how did the demand shape your approach of resilience, priorities, just life, frankly?
Yeah, that was an interesting story. That was back in like 2012. It was actually before I was flying. I got activated and I was running the flight operations. So I was running all the flight operations for all the flights that were going out, reacting to these boulder flights. But it was right during final season. So it was interesting having those conversations with my instructor. Some of them are like, okay, you can take the finals early. Some of them are like, you'll have to take the finals when you get back. And then some are like, you got to figure something out. So they would email me my finals and I'd be out on the flight line. Like literally, I'd have a piece of paper on a helicopter and I'm doing my finals on a helicopter as I'm helping do flight operations. Um,
Well,
go
that
yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I have college age kids, and I hear about their midterms and their finals and how hard they are, and I'm just picturing, like, okay, we're gonna add some complexity here and throw you in a helicopter, and while we're grabbing water and dropping things, we're gonna actually have you take the test. That's amazing.
yeah. It was very interesting for sure. But yeah, I was focusing on the bigger picture. I knew the finals were really important. I knew what I was doing was really important as well. I structured my time. I made sure that I had adequate time beforehand before I activated to get the finals done and needed to. I made sure I had time on the back end. And then throughout the day, yes, it was busy, but like I said, paper on helicopter, filling out as much as I could.
I love it. Well, your events, they partner closely with the city and with veteran organizations. Those are important relationships. Why do you think they're so vital for the success of what these events that you put on are?
It couldn't have happened without it. I mean, I'm one person. The organization, when we first started up, it was four of us, two of us actively out in the community. My co-founder Byron was absolutely incredible as well. He had a lot of military connections, also that we had a lot of support. But if it wasn't for those city relationships, like, we worked hand in hand with the mayor's office. We had city council on our side, kinda going to bat for us when it came to, like, permitting and regulations. If it wasn't for those relationships, there's no way we would have been able to grow to the size that we did in the time that we did as well.
Yeah, yeah, I can just picture you trying to do it alone without that support would be very tough. Yeah,
Yeah, impossible.
yeah.
Definitely impossible.
Well, circling back to projecting grandeur, just to kind of stay true to the story here. Like, how do you think projecting grandeur intersects with honoring veterans, and is grandeur amplified through service, in your opinion?
It's an interesting question. Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think service gives you that higher sense where you realize that it's not just about you, that, there's so much more in life at play, that partnerships are really, really important. I mean, in the military, it's never about you. What your position is, your position. It's your title. It's not who you are. So you never take that sense of like, I'm important because I'm in this role. No, this role is important and I'm honored to be in this position for now. But your job is always to teach that next leader how to take your position so someday you can move and do something else. So I think service really shows you how to get outside yourself and understand the bigger picture.
That makes a ton of sense to me. Uh, well, what's next? I mean, what big bets? What ambitious ideas? What are you exploring next for the Colorado Veterans Project? Like, even in your own leadership journey, like what's next?
Yeah. Well, I've already moved on from Colorado Veterans Project, so that's the next thing was I wanted to teach this new board and these new leaders how to take their organization and run with it. I've been totally hands free from the organization for about 3 years, and they're off doing their own thing. They're still running. It's probably one of the most proudest things that I have, that I created this thing that I could just hand off, and it's still sustainable without me, which is a really good feeling. So,
Well, let me just double click into that for a minute. So as you think about the Veterans Project, obviously the fact that it runs now without you is really cool, but like even bigger, like let's fast forward decades into the future here.
mm,
Like, what legacy do you hope that you leave behind inside of that? Because that's a really big accomplishment.
yeah. I just hope it keeps, touching people's lives, keeps helping people out. When I was in charge, one of our biggest focuses was here's the thing. We started the organization to celebrate veterans, to bring veterans and community together. We didn't really celebrate it to raise money. That wasn't a point of it. That just happened. It was we did these events, a lot of money came in. In our first year, we are over six figures. We got up to over seven figures at one point. Um, what we did is we took that money and we donated to veteran service organizations. So we were at one point we were funding over, I think it was like over 250 different veteran service organizations. One of my focuses was giving back to those veterans that aren't as fortunate as some of us were. So veterans that are experiencing homelessness, veterans that have, issues with PTSD or TBI. What I wanna see is I wanna see the organization continue to think about that, how we can give back to those that are less fortunate, and I would like to see it grow, and I'd like to see it go from 250 organizations funded to every veteran service organization in the state of Colorado funded.
That's awesome. Such a good goal, and honestly, makes me look introspectively here to make sure I do more because they're good people like you. Well, listen, Rob, if people want to connect with you, if people have questions, maybe they have different organizations they're starting. What's the easiest way for people to get a hold of you?
LinkedIn, I mean, it's gonna take some time. I get a lot of LinkedIn messages, but a lot of people do reach out to me on LinkedIn. I do, like, consulting and stuff where I help people just walk them through some of the mistakes that I made, because I made many mistakes in starting out my organization, and I'd like to prevent other people from making those same mistakes. So I'm always happy to talk to people and talk them through things. The number one thing I tell a lot of people too is before you decide to like start up your organization or start up a new nonprofit is look at what's out there, because there's so many organizations out there doing such great things, and it would be a pity to like duplicate efforts, because then you're duplicating costs and you're duplicate look for an organization that's doing something similar, find ways to potentially partner with them and extend their reach.
I like that a lot. Well, listen, your story's awesome. Your impact's great. Hopefully, we can all become better after hearing your story because it's really great, and I just appreciate you sharing. I'll include all of the relevant websites and contact info on the post when the show releases. But just thanks for joining our community today. I think our audience will really appreciate your story, and thank you for all that you've done, and thank you for your service.
Yeah, appreciate it, Ron. Thanks for the invite.
All right. For everyone else, keep projecting that grandeur. We've got exciting things lined up to bring to you and looking forward to it. So have a great day. And until next time, see you later.